TIFU by peeing my 23F pants on the first day of my study trip with my crush. Here's the background. For several months now, I've been suffering from severe bladder problems, more precisely, due to a neurological issue. I have urge incontinence. My bladder has uncontrollable spasms. So I often have urges that leave me only plus 1 minute before completely losing control. So it's manageable in some situations. But in others I have to resort to protection. Diapers. Yes. It's taken a while for me to dare leave the house wearing these in public. And every time I do, it's still a big source of anxiety for me. But at least it's a reliable solution to keep my situation invisible. Please note, I don't want any unsolicited advice, as I obviously already have a full medical follow-up. So here's what happened. I'm finishing my studies in biology, and I've been lucky enough to be hired for a plant biology internship in Bangladesh. And as luck would have it, I'm not only going with my research supervisor, but also with John, another young researcher I've met recently and with whom things are going really well. And to be honest, a mutual attraction is developing between us. Of course, he doesn't know about my bladder situation yet. Arriving at the airport, it's panic. I've planned everything, but I've forgotten my protection, apart from a spare for the flight. So I spend the whole flight stressed out at the thought of having to get some discreetly as soon as I arrive. Fortunately, as soon as we land, I manage to get away to the first supermarket I see and buy the only pack of adult diapers I can find. At the time, I'm already bummed because this product looks less discreet than the one I usually need. But whatever. The next day arrives. After breakfast, we head out into the field. No sooner had we stepped off the bus than the urge hits. I'm used to these horrible moments. First it's a wave of panic. Then I have to take stock. Is there a toilet nearby or not? If there is, I'll do everything I can to hold on. If there isn't, it may sound gross, but I've got into the habit of letting myself go, because I know I can only hold on for a few seconds anyway. So I might as well not fight in vain. In these moments, I always have to make a lot of effort to breathe calmly and look natural, so as not to arouse suspicion, knowing that at least I have reliable protection. But I know that panic always shows a little on my face. And then disaster. 1 second later, I realize that in addition to not being discreet, the protection I bought at the airport is useless and my jeans are soaked. Everything happened very quickly. I was shaking with shame. John was looking at me in disbelief. And, to save face, I slowly collapsed against a bench, feigning a drop in blood pressure to explain this sudden incontinence. It was the shame of my life. And I pretended that it was the first time that this had happened to me, even though it's my daily life. But usually I'm less stupid and I make sure that the products that I use are at least reliable. Since yesterday we saw each other again, the uneasiness has dissipated, but I think it was the worst first date ever. TLDR. I have bladder issues, and I'm used to handle it. But I peed myself in front of my crush because I had no choice but to rely on a completely unreliable protection. Then I collapsed in shame in front of him. As a guy, I'll say if he likes you, it probably didn't bother him that much. I'd just make a lighthearted joke about while explaining your issues. He's probably still just as into you, albeit a little confused. Lol. First, that all. You have a condition and that's nothing to be ashamed of. Second, if you want to be calm and feel the relief, pun intended, you can always speak with him and maybe he will be supportive. The truth will make you free. You need to learn to come to terms with the fact that you have a medical disability, and that you're not a bad person for that. If someone thinks less of you because of that, that's on them, not you. Please stop punishing yourself by being embarrassed or ashamed when something like that happens. Some guys pay extra for that. TBH, sometimes vulnerability in a woman can kick in a man's protective side. My crush and I went on a date. She had an accident. Number 2. I wasn't disgusted or mad. I immediately did everything I could to make her not embarrassed. Turned the truck right around and assured her it's okay and it happens. Took her home. She showered up and we continued our date. I felt no revulsion, just a sense of wanting to help her and make sure she wasn't so embarrassed. We lasted 14 years and had a beautiful daughter together. Edit spelling. Good save in the moment with the drop in blood pressure. Now, depending on if things continue with the guy, you can let him know on your terms instead of being forced in the moment. Which is great. There's some silver linings here, as thin as they may seem in the moment. If your relationship builds and you tell him, trust me, this moment will be a story you'll laugh about one day. I've known too many pregnant women, mothers, to be fazed by a gal pissing themselves in public. Consider it a rite of passage. Sorry you were embarrassed. I once had severe food poisoning that struck right in the middle of a class at my university. Started sweating buckets out of nowhere and shat myself. Hobbled to the restroom to assess the damage. And yep, just as bad as I feared. Big old brown wet patch right on the seat of my jeans. No playing that off. No hiding it with my shirt. No jacket to wrap around my waist, just my filthy pants and a 2-mile trek to the parking lot. Trembling like I had palsy. Weak as a kitten. Vomiting every 200 feet. Bought a newspaper on the way to sit on so I wouldn't ruin my car seat. Next time I attended the class, no one cared. Now it's just a story I share on the internet to commiserate with folks who are embarrassed by uncontrollable bodily functions and to let them know it ain't the worst thing in the world. Maybe you'll turn it around with this guy. Maybe you won't. But there will be other crushes and other embarrassments to look forward to regardless. Good luck with your bladder. https preview.red.it/zerwiplu7ff4rb1.jpg Width equals 1170 and format equals PJPG and auto equals WebP and S equals 8D37 of 58B0 ECAAF2CF60C 503D47D13EF 1889A1B6C. Lol. A decent human being would probably understand. Maybe he's into it? If my crush had an accident in front of me, I honestly wouldn't care. Shit happens. P2. And as you say yourself, the uneasiness has already dissipated. Doesn't make it any less embarrassing for you, obviously. But I don't think it has made any meaningful damage to your potential for a relationship. Any man worth his salt, pun totally intended, will take this in stride. If someone I were into pissed themselves in public, it wouldn't change my thoughts on them at all, to be honest. Okay. So you had an accident. So what? Let's go somewhere you can clean up and carry on with life. If they then later told me they have an incontinence problem, again, so what? I might ask some questions about if there's anything they need from me and how I can best be supportive and or useful in the event of a protection failure in public. That's about it. If he is put off by this, then he wasn't right for you anyway and you've dodged a bullet. If he's really into you, it won't change anything. I would have taken off my jacket to wrap around your waist. That's tough, pensive face. Medical conditions happen, it's just a part of life. If this person cares about you, this whole thing won't be an issue for them. And if they are bothered by it, judgmental of it, then that's not really someone you want in your life anyway. I definitely can understand your situation, though. I have IBS with other conditions. So I often have a similar emergency where I need to find a bathroom in 2 minutes or less or disaster strikes. Wow, that sounds like a really embarrassing situation. I admire your courage in sharing your experience and handling your bladder issues. I wouldn't worry too much about it. When people care about you, they will understand. I also have medical issues that mean suddenly needing the bathroom sometimes. I've also been married 8 years and my wife keeps the pills I need in her purse. She even knew about this before we got married. Yeah, it feels awkward and embarrassing. But the right person will support you. I know you're ashamed, but it happens. Plus, you feigned passing out. Honestly, things like that happen when people pass out. I know it's a bit traumatizing, but please understand. As a guy seeing someone I get along with wet themselves and pass out, the only thing I'll be thinking about is, are they okay? How can I help? Quote, try to release your thoughts and emotions on all of this. Because I'm certain he won't dwell on it unless you obviously are. I know you didn't seek medical advice, but knowing someone who has a similar situation, they were heavily helped out by antispasmodic medication traditionally used to treat seizures. It might help. Also, if you were ever to date this dude, he's gonna see you pee your pants later on anyway, so you just got it out of the way early. Also, if your medical issue really did scare him away, he ain't the one.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.